Sex Money Murder, that's his little mans. This nigga Damon was in Lawton spitting razors. As soon as I got off the fucking bus, that nigga was like, that's a New York nigga right there. He was like, yo, you know somebody named Gerald? Or somebody named Lou? Or somebody named Ed? I'm like, yeah, those my niggas. What's up? He was like, yo, put that nigga in the cell with me. So I'm telling the old nigga that I was bidding with in Lawton, no, an old nigga I used to bid with in DC jail. I was like, who the fuck is that nigga? He was like, hey, he say he your homie, nigga. He a homie. He telling the police to put you in his cell. That mean that nigga got clout. That nigga is somebody. That's what the OG from DC told me. So I had to go see who this nigga is. I just came off the bus, walking through the fucking yard, and he like, oh, that's a New York nigga right there. He was like, yo, you know a nigga named Gerald? I'm looking at the nigga kind of funny here, dark skin, light skin, slim nigga. So I'm looking at the nigga funny, but he talking like a New York nigga. He like, yo, son, yo, my nigga. He like, yo, whoa, you know, shit like that. So I'm like, oh, he definitely a New York nigga. So I had to, you know what I'm saying, coming off the bus, I had to, like, you know what I'm saying, address it like, yo, what up? What's poppin'? Nigga was like, yo, you know a nigga named Gerald? I'm like, yeah. You know a nigga named Lou? Got a cousin named, you know what I'm saying, E? I'm like, yeah. That's a fact. Those my niggas. Those were my day one niggas. Niggas that seen me grow up. Niggas that I grew up with. Nigga told the police, yeah, put that nigga in my cell. He was the only nigga in Lawton at that time, New York nigga who had his own cell. He didn't have no bunkies. You know what I mean? Nigga had a whole locker full of fucking tuna fish, peanut butter and jelly, motherfucking oodles and noodles, nigga. What? Now I'm in Lawton, nigga, living like a king. Nigga was like, yo, I'm gonna take you over to the other side, Aquan, and nigga Black Justice over there from Queens. Come on, nigga, I'm talking real shit, nigga. I'm talking real shit. I'm talking real shit. Tomorrow, I'm gonna tell the world when I first got my first deal from a real drug kingpin, nigga. On 860 in Bryant. You know what I'm saying? Big R. He locked up right now in the feds. Straight up killer, my nigga. The nigga told me to make a list of whatever you need, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to get it for you. He's definitely a millionaire, but I never took that deal because he got locked up. You know what I'm saying? He got locked up. He got into a shootout. Anyway, we're going to stick with the DC story today for the night. And we're going to come back tomorrow, the 21st, September 21st on Tuesday, and I'm going to tell y'all about my deal. You know what I'm saying? My nigga Waterbed Rev got me that deal. Waterbed Rev, he was like one of the best skaters out here in the tri-state area. Him and my nigga Seth. Right now, Seth is Dirty Bob, DJ Dirty Bob in Harlem. He doing his numbers. Word. So boom, I gets locked up. I'm in DC jail. The whole jail know I'm in there. The whole fucking jail, all 3 floors. There's only 3 floors in DC. The first floor, second floor, and the third floor, nigga. You know what I'm saying? 2 sides. One side got one, you know what I'm saying? You got one side with like younger niggas, and then you got the other side with the older niggas. That's how they do that shit in DC, because DC is not that big. At that time, when I got locked up in 1998. I made it to Lawton like 18 months after that, and I did the rest of my time at a federal camp, which was 8.5 months. I was supposed to just go to that camp for 6 months, but they kept me there 8.5 months because I got set back in boot camp. Anyway, I remember when I first made it in DC jail, I was scared to death, my nigga. I'm in DC jail. I know for a fact that everybody here know I'm a New York nigga who got caught with a brick. So they know I'm in the game, and they know I'm from New York. That wasn't really a good sign. That was not a good thing. So when I got in DC jail, I had to go through intake. I mean, you got to go through the hospital, go through, make sure you ain't got bronchitis or whatever that shit they was checking us for. TB, tuberculosis, and all that shit. So when I finally got cleared for population, I had to go into a cell with another inmate. When you don't make it through population, you stay in a cell by yourself. So I thought I was going to bid like that in the beginning. I was like, this ain't so bad. They was like, nah, nigga, you got like a couple more days, nigga, then you go into the population, nigga. They waiting for you. They want to see what this New York nigga's about. I said, what? They want to see what I'm about. Fuck you mean they want to see what I'm about? He like, yeah, you come to this state. You come out here to D.C. with your crack cocaine. You come out here with your Uzis and your fucking guns, and you know what I'm saying? You start shooting people. People started smoking crack. And I'm like, what? Nigga, I got caught with a fucking key of coke. You're like, yeah, we know. I know what you got caught. And they know what you were here for. And I remember there was a DVD with this CO nigga. I just can't really place it, but it was some shit, a documentary about DC jail. I was really in that shit. That nigga was like, welcome to the fucking house of pain, nigga. As soon as the fucking doors opened, that nigga was like, welcome to the house of pain, motherfucker. New York City ass nigga. And he was like, yeah, this is a New York nigga right here. Why they telling me to take off my fucking shoes and take out your laces? Give me that belt, motherfucker. You ain't going in there with none of that. So right now I'm like, oh no. So when they take me out of intake and they put me in population, they put me in a cell with a nigga who's fighting a murder trial. This nigga looked like the Tasmanian devil. They was like, New York, open up cell number 3, lower tier. Police officer walk you to that cell, and when the cell door is not open, there's no light in there. All you see is a nigga silhouette, and all I saw was a Tasmanian devil. So he was like, you know, because they called me New York. He was like, New York, enter the cell. And when you enter the cell, you got to tell them, you know, your inmate number. I don't remember my inmate number, but I had an 016 because I'm from New York. Federal inmate from New York, 016 or 054, something like that. So a nigga knew you was from New York just from your fucking number. Right? So I walk in the cell and they say, close cell number, close it. So they, you know, I didn't know what to do. So the nigga came out the darkness and he was like, yo, you got to close it. So he closed it. Boom. When he going back to where he was at, the nigga had a little Bible in his hand. He was like, yo, you know who make these? I was like, nah. He was like, the Gideon family. The Gideons. They are a family who made these Bibles, man. Do you believe in the Bible? And I was like, nah, not really. I never read the Bible. When he handed it to me, that nigga just sat back on the bottom bunk. He just sat there on the bottom bunk. I took the Bible, went up on the top bunk. I read the whole Bible from front to back, my G. I'm talking about days went by. Days went by. Only thing I did was get up, eat, do push-ups, shit, sleep, read the Bible, get up, eat, do push-ups, and go back to sleep. Because that's what he did. You know, the nigga was in hella shape. The nigga was ripped. And I remember he wasn't telling me about his case, but I already knew what his case was about because the COs told me before I went into the cell. They was like, yeah, that nigga fighting a fucking murder. He murdered a nigga. I said, what? How the fuck you fighting a murder? He was like, yeah, he's saying that he's innocent, that it was in self-defense. I went in the cell. I got to know the nigga in like 60 days. On like that 63rd day, his court was coming up. So he finally let me read his indictment. That shit was like a book, my nigga. Y'all hear me? We going back into the elements when I was locked up in DC, man. I was in DC jail. You know, I'm taking us back in remembrance. For some reason, the Most High is giving me that. Because I can remember all this shit like if it was yesterday, Mo. So I remember when he finally let me read his indictment. I'm reading his indictment and I'm reading it like if it's a movie. I'm seeing everything. You know, he was being chased through alleyways in DC. And if you know anything about DC, if you've been out there in DC, you know there's so many alleys, there's so many back blocks where you could cut through this block and come out of another block somewhere. So the dude was chasing him through alleys, and the dude didn't know that he had a weapon on him too. So the dude is chasing him and shooting at him. So when he finally made it somewhere, like, he kind of like stood his ground, and when the dude came, you know, chasing him, shooting, he gunned him down. Boom, 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 boom. And he stood there, waited for the cops. That all that shit was in the indictment. That nigga made the news out there. I was his cellie in DC jail, right? So he was telling me, yo, like, all that was in self-defense, and if, you know, he didn't know about the Bible, if he didn't know about the Lord, he never really was like talking about Jesus Christ or God. I remember him always saying the Lord. He was always say the Lord, or maybe he would say Yahweh or Yahya. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Because this was back in 98, 99, so I'm not really, you know what I'm saying? But I do remember he was not on that Jesus Christ shit and that God shit. You know what I'm saying? He knew exactly who he was, and he knew exactly that he was going home. So the day of his court, he finally cut his hair. He finally got a haircut, and, you know, he put on a suit. And when he was already up dressed, I had just started waking up, and I was like, yo, you gonna be good, my nigga? Because he was fuck with me after that. Like, he let me read his indictment. He let me read his whole, you know what I'm saying? I was in a cell with him. The nigga used to fuck with me, my nigga. And he didn't fuck with nobody in DC jail. And everybody respected him because the nigga was ripped up. He was in hella shape. The nigga used to do push-ups like he was fucking cutting his toenails, my nigga. He would do 1,000 push-ups and have a conversation with you. You know what I mean? He was very educated, real smart in business. I met so many good motherfuckers in DC jail. It was crazy, man. You know, niggas that put me on to real shit in life. So when he went to court, everybody was like saying, yeah, this nigga crazy, thinking he, you know, gonna beat this shit. Yo, my nigga, that nigga never came back. Never seen a nigga again in my life. Never seen him again in my life. After that, that's what made me want to get into what is the Bible, and why do people choose Islamic over the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up from my parents, you know what I'm saying, being from the 5% nation, being you know what I'm saying, being gods, you know what I'm saying, knowing my mathematics, knowing my ABCs. Shit, when I was 9, 10 years old, I knew all that. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, freedom, power, refinement, equality, God. You know, I knew all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I get that from my pops and my moms. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So I started reading I read the Bible. I remember I was in Revelation. I read all that. One of the things that really caught my eye was Revelation. I'm like, wow. You know, I started believing in religion. So I started praying that God or Jesus, because that's what I was reading in the Bible after my man already had went home, and I didn't really have nobody in there that could guide me in the direction of Hebrew. I didn't hear nothing about a Hebrew when I was locked up. Nothing. It was all about Jesus. So I think what basically got me through in DC was my spirit. I had a real good spirit. I was definitely in shape playing basketball. I used to dominate in DC jail, nigga. They'll tell you, nigga, that nigga from New York that was in DC jail, the nigga used to dominate, nigga. I mean, niggas know I used to dominate in New York City growing up. I was one of the, you know what I'm saying, gotta be in the top 10, one of the best ball players to ever come out of Hunts Point on some G shit, you know what I'm saying, on some street basketball shit, like going from neighborhood to neighborhood, park to park.